The Drake Ironclad was anticipated by many, especially its owners, and now it has been released following this year's DefenseCon. Many people who bought one are unfortunately left with a sour taste in their mouths. Now, I hate to say this, and this is the kind of statement that most likely keeps me in CIG's blacklist, but to make it short, the Drake Ironclad is mostly useless as of Start Citizen Alpha 4.8, and in this video, I am going to show you why. One of the biggest issues with the Drake Ironclad right now is something that becomes frustrating almost immediately once players actually start using the ship in real gameplay scenarios. Every single time the server transitions within a shard, the command module detaches itself from the main body of the ship. And while this may sound like a minor inconvenience on paper, in practice it quickly becomes an incredible, irritating issue. Instead of feeling like a reliable industrial platform, the Ironclad constantly forces its crew into repetitive reconnect procedures that completely break immersion and disrupt operations. For a ship that is supposed to represent heavy-duty logistics and long-term hauling, reliability should be one of its strongest qualities. Instead, owners are dealing with a system that literally separates the bridge section from the rest of the vessel during server transitions. It transformed what should be smooth cargo operations into an ongoing maintenance chore, and after enough jumps, the novelty of the ship starts being replaced with frustration. In the current state of Alpha 4.8, this issue alone makes the Ironclad feel unfinished and far less practical than many smaller or less ambitious cargo ships. Another major problem comes with the current cleanup system in Start Citizen Alpha 4.8, and before that actually. Right now, some ships that land inside the Ironclad can sometimes enter into what players commonly refer as purple U. This means that the game has flagged the ship for cleanup, essentially treating it as abandoned or ready to be removed from the server. And when that happens, the ship eventually disappears entirely as if it had been destroyed. The consequences for this are absolutely brutal for industrial gameplay. If the ship is carrying cargo, valuable loot, refined materials, or mined ore, everything is simply gone. A prospector pilot can spend hours mining only to lose an entire hull because the game suddenly decides that the ship should be cleaned up. Cargo haulers face the exact same risk, except the stakes become even higher when you are transporting massive quantities of freight worth hundreds of thousands or even millions of credits. This becomes a huge issue for the Drake Ironclad because the ship is fundamentally designed around persistence, storage, and logistics. The entire fantasy of operating a giant industrial cargo platform completely falls apart if the game can randomly decide to delete your ship and everything inside it after landing. Instead of feeling secure, Ironclad owners constantly have to worry about whether the server will simply erase hours of progress. And for a ship whose main purpose is carrying large amounts of valuable cargo, that is a massive problem. But what truly made me lose my mind was what happened next. My character certainly started to suffocate and died from a lack of oxygen, despite the fact that I was wearing a helmet the entire time. I had no warning, I just had a little icon on the back saying that I was not getting any oxygen in my lungs, and then I died because the game somehow decided that my character could no longer breathe. Thankfully, this happened while I was already at the station, meaning that the consequences were limited and frustration did not come as high as in other scenarios, but still, at the moment, I thought about this happening during an actual operation out in deep space, and this is exactly when the problem hit me. Imagine spending hours organizing cargo and coordinating the crew and escorting valuable freight through dangerous space only for someone or the whole crew to randomly die because the game forgets that their helmet exists. In smaller ships, it's already infuriating when you don't have a helmet and you die, like in the Pirate Seas, right? But on a massive industrial platform like the Ironclad, these kind of bugs become even more destructive because every operation requires far more setup and coordination and commitment. Random death can throw an entire logistic chain into chaos, and that is really the core issue with the Ironclad in 4.8. The ship demands some long-term persistence, it needs stability, and it needs to be reliable in order for multi-crew gameplay to exist. But unfortunately, in its current state, right now, it simply does not support that fantasy consistently enough yet. When basic survival systems can randomly fail without warning, it becomes extremely difficult to justify using one of the largest cargo-focused ships in the game for serious operations. At the end of the day, this is what makes the Drake Ironclad so frustrating in Star Citizen Alpha 4.8. The ship itself is not the problem. Visually, conceptually, and thematically, it is one of the coolest industrial vessels Cloud Imperium Games has ever released. The fantasy of commanding a massive armored cargo platform through dangerous space is incredibly appealing, but the current state of the game simply does not support that fantasy properly yet. Between the command module, which constantly detaches during server transitions, the ship that randomly enters cleanup states and disappearing with all their cargo, and game-breaking bugs like characters literally suffocating to death while wearing a helmet, operating a ship like the Ironclad becomes less about having immersive gameplay and more about fighting the game itself. And the larger the ship, the worse those frustrations become, because every operation involves more time, more organization, more risks, and far more to lose when something breaks. That is why many owners are disappointed right now. The Ironclad feels like a ship designed for the future vision of Star Citizen rather than the current one that we have. Maybe one day, when persistence is reliable, server meshing is stable, cargo systems are deeper, and long-range logistics finally become meaningful, this ship will truly shine. But as of Star Citizen Alpha 4.8, the Ironclad feels less like the industrial powerhouse that many players dreamed about, and more like an expensive reminder of how unfinished the current gameplay experience still is. That is all for today's video. Do you also have an Ironclad? Are you disappointed by the current state of the Ironclad? Did you encounter any other bugs with the ship? Let me know in the comment section down below. Don't forget we have a giveaway, guys, so please make sure to check out the pinned comment. And don't forget to subscribe if you want to see more content like that. If you enjoy the content, please give it a thumbs up. It really helps with the channel. A big shout out to my Patreon and YouTube members, including Dr. Robin, So Carter Cesius, The Key to Ducker, Shadow Rise and Steel Crusher. I've been the Eradicator, and I'll see you guys in the next one.